Stop scrolling, put down the variants, and we need to talk about a masterpiece that most modern collectors are sleeping on, and that is Micronauts. Welcome everyone to the Iconist Podcast. This is Barry 3D. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and I just wanted to touch on today on our new series on what to read. What are we reading? So we're going back to break out the comic book boxes, the long boxes, and things you should pick up maybe from your comic book stores that don't just rely on how much are they worth, but really the worth of the story. And this is what I'm going about. Now I know what you're thinking. It's a toy comic, right? It's a 20-page ad for Japanese plastic. Wrong. This is the biggest lie in comic history. When Marvel took the license, Bill Metallo didn't just write a tie-in, he birthed a Shakespearean tragedy set in a subatomic universe. If you don't have these 12 issues in your short box, your collection has a microverse-sized hole in it. Marvel didn't just publish Micronauts, they woven it into the DNA of the 616 universe. This is where the Enigma Force began. This is where Captain Universe, one of the most powerful entities in Marvel history, was born. When you buy these originals, you're buying the blueprints for Marvel's cosmic mythology. These concepts are still fueling Spider-Man and Venom runs today in 2026. Look at Michael Golden art in 1979. It was like lightning that was just striking. Most artists back then were drawing flat superheroes. Golden was drawing in 3D. His work was dense, mechanical, and incredibly kinetic. Every bolt on the ship, every muscle on Acroyer, every shadow in the body banks. It feels heavy. You cannot appreciate this on a digital screen. You need to see the vintage ink hitting the newsprint to feel the grit. Let's talk about the villain Baron Karza. He makes Thanos look like a hobbyist. He didn't just want to rule. He promised his citizens eternal life through the body banks. A horrifying system where the rich lived forever by harvesting the body parts of the poor. This was dark, philosophical, sci-fi, sold to kids. It's a Dave versus Goliath story where David is 6 inches tall and Goliath is literally a god emperor. So let's look at the issues, right? So issues 1 to 12, you can break it down into 3 parts. So issues 1 to 4 was the rebellion begins. Arcturus Rann wakes up after his 1,000 years and to find his home turned into a slaughterhouse. He finally makes it back, to the edges. He makes his way back to Homeworld, and this is what he comes across, right? Now, of issues 5 to 9, you have the Earthfall arc. This is the tactical warfare, watching the Micronauts take on a common house cat, a lawnmower, and it's high stakes survival. And what we see as normal day items, this is what they had to battle with, along with Baron Karza sending troops after to bring them back because he wanted to find out what the Enigma Force was, and he knew Rann had a connection to it. And if you look at the last arc there, which is issues 10 to 12, then that's the final stand, the revolution on Homeworld. It's one of the most satisfying complete arcs in the Bronze Age, in my opinion. I mean, obviously I have a love for this project, but here we go. So collectors, these issues are self-contained masterpieces. They represent a rare moment where a creative team had total freedom to build the universe from scratch. They are affordable, they are beautiful, and they are essential to your collection. I think this is something everyone should have, and that's my opinion. Obviously, I know I have a passion for this project because I love the comic book Micronauts, and I also love the toy line, and I think that was a great way to show how one can be into the other, and it plays off of that, So go to your local shop, dig through the back bins, find the M section, find the M section. Your collection isn't complete until you've traveled into the microverse. Now, if I'm looking into certain things. Now, I know everyone's always trying to say, once again, this is not about what is worth. This is more about the worth of the story. So issue 1, of course, it kicks it off. You get the most significant key in the series. It features the first appearance of the Micronauts team. So that's Arcturus Rann, that's Princess Mary, or Marionette, Bug, Acroyer. It also puts in Biotron and Microtron, along with the Endeavor, with their spaceship, and Baron Karza. And then you have the lesser players that are also showing up in that first issue. So you have Prince Argon, you see Lady Slug, and it starts to kind of build out that universe. So you see what's happening, you see the sense of it. The body banks make their appearance and mention, and other characters who are lesser known, but they still reoccurring throughout that whole arc from issues 1 to 12. So those are things that I think are important to get. Now, of course, in issue number 2, While issue number 1 is the team's debut, this issue is notable for the first cover appearance of Biotron and Microtron. So you don't see them on issue number 1, you see them in issue number 2, on the cover that is, right? So that's their first appearance there. They were absent from the cover. Maybe there was not enough room to put everybody on when they first did the art. But I mean, hey, they got time to cook, as the saying goes. Now, issue number 8, this is the issue that I first picked up at a comic book store back as a kid. And of course, I've talked about that here before. And in that issue, it cried a major turning point to, develop a deeper, to dive deeper into the dark science of Baron Karza and the body banks. And those get explained to a major scale. And on top of it, too, we see that's the first appearance of, Captain Universe. Now, I know the name might sound kind of like, hey, it was the 80s. It was the 70s and 80s. So Captain Universe, but of course, he's also had some other things in the Marvel Spotlight series. So, those are always fun to get. And yes, at a side note, Spider-Man did get the powers of Captain Universe at one point, so he was still tied into the microverse. And of course, then issue number 9 is Acroyer, right? We get the backstory for Acroyer, his relationship with his brother, Prince Shaitan, and then revealing the harsh, rocky world of Spartek. So those are key issues to add into your collection. And I mean, the story and the writing on that was really great. And I know there's a lot of similarities between Micronauts and Star Wars at the time. I mean, look, 1977 Star Wars, 1979 Micronaut. You got to say one's drawn off the other, but I think that's in a good way. Sometimes, when you copy something, it's almost like a sign of flattery, right? So, and it was done well, and it still stands out today in my opinion. I like the dynamic art. I like the darkness of it. And it was really more of a heavier read than you would think at other books at that time. So I think it was really catching the change in the comic book industry, what the readers were wanting. And we went along with that ride, and it still holds a beautiful place in our hearts today. So issue 11, a massive key for the wider Marvel universe. We see more about Ray Coffin and the concept of the Enigma Force. It shows Rann getting into the Enigma Force and how he had that connection and what caused it, because he really got to the fringes of, inner space and said, oh, we've kind of hit a wall. Literally, they called it the space wall, and he started bouncing back. So we get a little bit more of that. We see how that rebellion arc starts to play out, where Karza's trying to get that information out of his brain. And then, the team is going through some major turmoil. So from issue 10, there's a big space battle. There, issue 11, Karza finally, in issue number 10, Karza finally captures Princess Mary and Arcturus Rann, brings him back to Homeworld, and this is like setting up the final, that 1 year story arc we're on. It's setting up the whole thing. We see Force Commander, so Prince Argon puts on his white armor, and that's it's amazing. It takes you on a ride. And then, of course, issue 12, the dramatic conclusion of the first year's arc, featuring first time Arcturus Rann fully channeling the power of the Enigma Force, and the broader scale of this space opera. So, would I like to see this come back? For sure. I mean, I've talked about this in the other videos, and I think it would still make good storytelling up to now. I know there is a omnibus that is out that you can get from Amazon or wherever. Better yet, just go to your local comic book store, have them order it for you. I'll go to Check Swings because I'm back here in Montreal, but I didn't forget my friends out in Wow Comics out in Kitchener. So keep in mind that this is a series we're going to do, just saying it doesn't have to be worth money, but it's also a good read, and you see how it ties in. So those are the first 12 issues there. And then, of course, the other arc, the artists change. And then I think it's really important to do this because we fan casted it. Now is to go back to the comic book store and pick these things up, add them to your collection. So the main reason is, 1, I want to revisit these things that I like talking about. 2, people are always asking me, hey man, what's good to add into my collection? What's good to add to your collection? And most of the times we get these questions, people are always usually looking for a monetary value. And I always tell them, it's like, okay, you can get a monetary value book, but then the other part of it is, why just get it for the money? If you're going to be a fan of a comic book and want to get into the genre, get into the genre. And just because it's 2026 right now doesn't mean that what was written in 1979 it does not count anymore. It still counts. It's still relevant. Go and get it. So I'm more, if you ask me what you want to read, and what you think will be a good read and a fun read, depending on your style or what you're looking for. This is why this series is existing, and we're doing that with everything else we're doing here. And this is where I can't stress it enough. Don't come to me and ask me how much a book is worth, but if you come to me and ask me what was a fun read and storyline and what sparks imagination, there we go. So for me, it was always Micronauts. This is why I'm starting off with this one. I hope you all enjoyed it. And remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the show be a secret. And this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. I'm out.